Sit back and enjoy New York City. Let's hear it for Cauvin, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, whatever the song that is. Let's give it up for your magenta host. Magenta or is it fuchsia? I don't know. I didn't particularly like it, is the point. Yeah, all right, good, we're here. Thanks for coming out. See, I got a problem. I know people talk about flying a lot in comedy, but I just have one particular problem. I always take the aisle seat. I took the aisle seat coming down here from New York. And I like seeing the window, though. I like seeing out the window. And somewhere along the line, we've lost the courtesy when the person in the window seat asks if they can shut the window. Now they just shut, they have unilateral control over my access to the great outdoors. Like, I hate flying, and my thing is, I want to see how I die. So when we take off, I want to see those gray clouds that cause my doom, and not just be guessing, with no idea what's happening, except scary turbulence. And my whole thing is, if you want to just shut that without asking, well then don't expect any snacks or trips to the bathroom, because I'm not getting up. Yeah, I don't like flying. It's scary. I know people are like, it's not scary, it's terrifying. And, but the worst part about being this size, I'm a relatively big human being. And I got it online a few weeks ago. I was flying Southwest to, I don't know where, but to some exotic location. And I'm waiting online for the bathroom, which is always creepy, because I have sort of, in the summer, I have kind of an Egyptian look, which just, to a lot of people, just kind of looks like semi-terrorist. And I'm waiting for the bathroom for like 10 minutes, and there were multiple flushes. So at that point I'm going, all right, either NSA or my nostrils are going to have a problem with what's going on in this bathroom right now. And so I'm waiting, and then finally the person comes out, and it's an 11-year-old Asian girl. Well, she might have been 30, they don't develop very well, but I think she was a small child, I'm pretty sure. And what she left in that bathroom was very adult. You know, the stainless steel had that very thick skid mark where it was kind of three-dimensional. It wasn't just a two-dimensional stain, there was 3D action to it. I was like, you might want to try a third flush, ma'am, girl, child, whatever you are. And the problem is, we all do this, right? When somebody just does something heinous in the bathroom and it's a one-stall bathroom and you're the next one in, you want to be in and out as quick as possible so that nobody can pin the lingering stench on you. And I only had to go number one, so I'm like, I gotta make this 30 seconds tops because this smell could not come from a 30-second visit to the bathroom. The problem is, at my size, airline bathrooms are not built. They're built for me when I was 12. They're not built for me at my adult full size. So I get into the bathroom, I'm 6'7", the bathroom's about 6'4", so already I'm kind of doing this action. My shoulders keep bumping into the walls. I gotta like do a thing to get the seat up, but I can't really touch it. I gotta like get paper towels and a foot going to get the seat up. So 5 minutes later, I still haven't pissed. And there's a line forming outside the bathroom, so now the blame is all gonna come down on me. I leave the bathroom and I'm getting weird looks. Like I, caused this incident on the plane, because who were they gonna believe, right? The angelic little 11-year-old Asian girl or this giant monster. I like being a tall, large person, but it's not the greatest all the time. And I'm starting to get fat. That's unfortunate. I just turned 34 and can't drop the weight like I used to. And I don't even know why I say I'm getting fat. I'm sort of there. Now I know in San Antonio, I maybe don't pass the test for fat. I'm aware of that. We have cultural differences in the north. Like right now, you think I'm Brad Pitt from Fight Club. But no, technically, I've put on 70 pounds of garbage in the last 4 years. So I'm now 315. I'm 6'7", 315, which are great numbers if this was the NFL draft. My first round pick, that's some guaranteed money. But this is not the NFL draft. This is a comedy show. These are horrible numbers. These numbers serve no purpose whatsoever. I don't know, I just wish people could have warned me, because when you're this tall, like if I'd been 5'6" and put on 20 pounds, my friends would have immediately been like, "You're disgusting. Get on a treadmill, what are you doing with your life?" But I went from 240 to 275, and my friends were all like, "Dude, are you working out? You're looking pretty swole." I was like, "No, this is all natural." And then one day you just tip the scales at 3 bills and you go, what am I doing? How do I, because the thing is, fat is like a lot of destinations. It's the journey that's the fun part. Getting fat, awesome. You just eat cookies. Anytime you feel bad, you just have some cookies or some fried food and you're like, sweet, I don't feel bad anymore. Then you get to fat, you arrive at fat, and you go, this place sucks. Can we get back to skinny? What do I have to run all the way back there to get back to skinny? I can't just take a car? I have to run this off? No, that's unbelievable. No, nobody told me that part. Yeah, it's just, it's no good. I think, and I kind of, I don't know, I think I just I underestimated my love of cookies. I feel like cookies and me have a weird relationship. You know, like when an athlete makes it out of the hood, they gotta stay with their boys, even if their boys are gonna mess up their lives. They feel a loyalty. And I'm like, cookies were there for me in the tough times. When I got dumped by my fiance, who was there for me? Cookies. How am I gonna let go of cookies now? Now that I'm rolling in the big loot of comedy. I had a dream as a kid that was, I remember I wasn't happy with the amount of cookies I was getting after dinner. So I was in the supermarket, I was 9 years old with my mom. I dreamed very modest dreams. And I said to her, Mom, when I'm an adult, and I have my own apartment, I'm gonna buy a box of Entenmann's cookies, and I'm gonna eat them for dinner. Because I'll be an adult, and nobody can tell me what to do. Ladies and gentlemen, dreams come true. I've done that 260 times in the last 4 years. It's a nightmare now, it's become a nightmare. And it's tough because I remember I moved into Manhattan, the city, the section of the city that never sleeps, 5 years ago. And that's when my weight just started to go, well, not downward in terms of how I felt, but upwards in terms of the number. And it's because you have access to stuff 24 hours a day. Like even my supermarket is open till midnight, which just seems unnecessary. Because I'll be bored at 11:15 and go, well, obviously I'm gonna go get some cookies. It's a no-brainer. And they saw me in this supermarket for 5 years. Like if the Food Emporium, which is the name of the supermarket, had that been a bar, the bartender would have at some point said, easy. Maybe tonight, you take tonight off. We're gonna be here tomorrow. You know, just come on. Go home, go. But Food Emporium, no. They just take your money as they see me ballooning over the years. Like if you took time-lapse photography of the security camera, you just see me getting bigger and more unhappy over 5 years, like a National Geographic special. And it's unfortunate, because I remember I was that jerk who would go to the supermarket in the winter in like a tank top from the gym, just to show off the guns, you know? Get the shopping cart, do a little extra lean on the shopping cart to get the triceps going good. Now I'm the guy who goes in the summer in a sweatshirt so my man tits don't show. It's been a real steep decline. And I think I'm sort of got like a sugar addiction, and the more you read, they talk about sugar having like, addictive qualities, but of course that doesn't sound legit. I'm addicted to cookies. You can't say that in a world where people have truly crippling addictions. Like I can't be like, yeah, dude, I understand you lost your family, your job, and your home. Cocaine is a terrible drug. And I know what you're going through because my pants don't fit as well. the same sort of struggle. But I tried to deal with it like an addiction, but I tried to deal with it on my own. And what I would do is I would buy a box of Entenmann's cookies because I needed my fix, but I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to eat a few, throw the box out. Get the little taste of it, and I'll start to get mad because I'm wasting money, and it'll all work itself out. So I bought the box and I said I'm going to eat 8. And if you're familiar with the cookies, they're very small. I know that sounds vulgar, but they're like trans fatty popcorn that I just throw down my gullet. And so I ate 8 and threw the box out and I said, done. It's called willpower. I woke up the next morning and said, hey, wait a second. Isn't that my garbage? And don't I live alone? What am I going to catch something from me? So I then, at 7 in the morning, am digging in my trash, eating garbage cookies like a crackhead in my own home. And then I start rationalizing it to myself, like, oh, you know, they say, there's always a they that can tell you something you want to hear. They say if you're going to have dessert, have it in the morning, get your craving out of the way. You'll burn off the calories anyway. So I'm sitting there going, it's probably a good thing I'm eating 5,000 calories worth of cookies at 8 in the morning, because I'll burn it off. So I had to take more drastic measures, so the next time I bought cookies, I ate a few and then threw them out and then urinated on them. That's sort of my, now I'm not having them kind of thing. And then I woke up the next morning and said, hey, wait a second, isn't urine sterile? Isn't that my urine? Now they just taste tangy. It's kind of sad. They know that's a lie, of course. They don't taste tangy, they taste terrible. But yeah, so that's how I went from looking like, I don't know, an athlete. Like I used to get people would ask me in the street, like, oh, who do you play for? Because they thought I was like a pro basketball player. I was very lean, but very like athletic looking. And they say, oh, you play basketball? I said, no. Now I get did you used to play football? Which is a drastically different question. One is saying, you look very athletic today. The other is saying, you look like a large person past their prime. And to make matters worse, I got a tiny girlfriend. She's 5'2", which is weird. I was 5'2" when I was 8 years old. That's a true story. That's weird to think the last time I was the size of my girlfriend, I was in 3rd grade. It's creepy, if you think about it. But, and it's the summer, so she wears, you know, like kind of skimpy-ish clothing. And I was doing my laundry a couple weeks ago, and she was over, and she said, oh, do you mind like throwing, like she had some gym clothes and some stuff. She said, oh, do you mind throwing these in your wash? I was like, sure. Until I got down to the laundry room, I was putting her stuff in and realized how disturbing I looked. Her clothing in my hands looked like I had kidnapped a small child and was trying to wash the evidence. I swear, these belong to an adult woman. And then it's like she's trying to set me up, because she wears these little running shoes all the time. They're pink Nike running shoes, size 6. Size 6, I think that's what my baby shoes were. And so that she just like takes them off and leaves them by the door. So I'll order like takeout, and the delivery guy will come. You know, some poor immigrant with not many language skills, but he knows the international symbol for missing child, which is an empty sneaker of very small size. You ever see that in a movie? There's only 2 symbols for what means missing kid. It's either a ball bouncing down the street with no kid attached to it, or a tiny sneaker just sitting like on the street with no foot in it. And then that's when the cop goes, a child is missing. So this guy just looks and takes my money and is just doing the math, going, uh-oh, I think I might have the fast ticket to citizenship, because apparently El Grande has kidnapped a small child and left the evidence for me to see. But I don't know, I like being a big dude most of the time. Except clothing shopping is probably the worst thing. You gotta go to the big and tall store. It's a terrible store. As you can probably tell from the name of the store. Not a lot of thought or energy or caring going into the name of the store. All right, we'll just leave this a physical description of customer. Even a store title like High and Mighty would have been like one step of imagination that made me feel 10 times better. But no, big and tall. It's an awful store. When you walk in, if anybody's ever been, when you walk in, instead of the door chimes, they play the theme music from Jurassic Park. So that feels good. And it's just, it's a weird store. You know, it's like you're clothing shopping in a funhouse mirror. Everybody's either way too tall or way too wide. I feel like one of the blue dudes from Avatar hanging out with a bunch of South Park characters. But the thing I think that bothers me the most is the marketing of the store, because big women have their own store too, but it's not called Plump and Pleasant, right? It's called Lane Bryant, right? The Nike of big chick stores. You all know the motto, just eat it? It's kind of a swoosh, it's a buttered croissant, we know the logo. I find the initials kind of odd, LB. It's kind of an awkward pairing. For anybody, I guess this is a European show, LB is short for pound. Get it now? Now that I've walked you through it? But the ads, I really just kind of get jealous of the Lane Bryant ads because they treat their customers well, you know? Unlike big and tall ads. Big and tall ads are always a dude my size, wakes up in the morning, just smashes his head on every doorway for 30 seconds. That's their way of conveying tall. And I'm like, I can't wait to give you money now. You've been helpful enough to point out that one of the side effects of my height is mental retardation. Lane Bryant ad's totally different though. Awesome, right? They cut right to the chase. They're just like, you're big and you're sexy. You probably do more stuff in bed than those skinny chicks. So why don't you dress like it? Lane Bryant, his big boobs never go out of style. It's a good point, Lane. They'll never rename Lane Bryant though, right? No way. A physical description of the customer? I don't think so. No self-respecting plus-size woman is going to go clothing shopping at a store called Gives Great Head. No way. Or Has Black Boyfriend. No matter how good the sales are, it's not happening. I know what you're thinking of there. You're thinking of the skinny black guy. Heavy-set white woman. I know that because that's what I was thinking of when I wrote the joke. And I was thinking of that because my parents are a heavy-set white woman and a skinny black dude. It's a true story. I know you're looking at my face going, but you're not even Derek Jeter black. You're more of a rock forced himself upon Adam Sandler. Child kind of complexion. Yep. But it's true. My dad's black. My mom's apparently whiteout. But you know, my dad's Haitian, and my mom is Irish. You know, typical. And I like that combo. I do. I like it because it's like my parents said, "Hey, let's take the poorest people of the 19th century, do a mashup with the poorest people of the 20th century, and create an awful human being." And that's my brother. He's not good about it. But, you know, the combo, I guess, throws people off still. It shouldn't really. I mean, I know it's unique, but it's not like I'm from Mars. But people always get excited and curious, like, Haitian and Irish, that's so weird. How did they meet? Work. That's it. They met at work. It's a very boring story. No, my mom doesn't work for the Miami Coast Guard. So I had to come up with a different story for people. Kind of more exciting. An X-Men origin story. So I'm like, yeah, I'm glad you asked. It is kind of weird how they met. Mom, working class Irish girl from New York City. Dad, one of 10 kids, growing up in a small village in Haiti. And then my mom started sponsoring my dad for 46 cents an hour. It's cool. He would send her postcards telling her how the school was coming along that her money was helping build. Of course, intimacy was a problem at first. What with the flies always buzzing around my dad's face. These things are real cock blockers. But love conquered all. Here I am. I feel bad for those kids in those UNICEF ads, though, the ones I was alluding to, you know, little sad African kids with no t-shirts sitting in dirt with flies buzzing around their face. Don't you feel bad for them? Because there's an American film crew recording them and not even doing this. You do this, the flies go away, you're a hero. Would it be that much of an effort? You know, give the kid a t-shirt. Give him a folding chair. None of these things are going to make me think that this kid is rich if he just isn't sitting in the dirt. Why don't you spritz the dirt with water, because mud is even sadder than dirt. I feel bad for those kids, especially because they're not just battling, you know, poverty and disease, but they're also battling depressed pets. Because when I watch TV late at night, sad, drunk, and alone, I'm always seeing three different things on my TV. You got the depressed pets commercial, which apparently is some sort of national tragedy. You got the homeless kids, and you got P90X. Those are basically my three favorite shows on TV. And the depressed pets, we all know who they are. And they get the prime ad space. They get to go first in the infomercials, which I don't understand. But we all know the commercial, right? Zooming in on some sad-looking cat. And I don't even know if the cat's sad. He might just be a talented pet actor. They're zooming in on him. Sarah McLachlan's playing. And they go, for only $10 a week, you can save Mittens from being depressed. It's like, oh my God, Mittens is depressed. So I stumble over to the computer, hang out a donation, get back on the couch, resume masturbating, and then the next thing I know, it's my friend Mabutu, that's what I call him, the African kid. He's sitting there, and he's looking very sad, and I go, oh no, well, what's his problem? And they've got music too, but they can't afford Sarah McLachlan, so they got Macy Gray playing. She's like, I try to walk away and I choke. The boy's got flies on his face. We go, no. What's his pitch? And they go, for only 7 cents a year. You can save Mabutu's entire village. And what do we all do? Yeah. 7 cents? You think I got that kind of spare change just lying around? No way. Absolutely not. I just gave all my money to Mittens. It makes me sad, though. It's sad commentary on our values. You need a 401k to save a cat. But, sponsor like 5,000 African kids for $95. That feels wrong. Which is why I'm sponsoring 5,000 African kids for $95. Because all I need is 1 or 2 of those kids to become NBA prospects. It's called a retirement plan. Look into it. Because my whole thing is right now I got to bang out the letters to these kids each month, but with 5,000, it's a form letter at this point. And I know I should be giving them individual attention, but 5,000 kids, it's a form letter. And I just tell them, reminding them, like, hey, it's me, you know, your savior. That vitamin-rich nutritional paste you're eating each day, that's because of me. So don't forget, when you grow up big, strong into a shot blocker, that is my handiwork. You know, and then 10 years from now, NBA draft night happens. I show up wearing my own 6-button suit, and I just go, hey, you know, buddies, I'm proud of you. And I just think at this point we should probably talk my end of the deal. You know, I'm thinking 25% of all future earnings is fair. You know, because I've kept receipts. And according to my receipts over the last decade, I have spent over $39 on you. It's time to pay up. So, my time is almost up here, guys. You've been wonderful. You really have. It's been an honor. for you guys mostly. I've been pretty much on fire from jump up here, okay? But are we sad about Lance Armstrong? He's a Texan, isn't he? Yeah, bike rider. He's a bike rider. You guys don't really care. I don't actually know why we ever can't, like, either way. It was like, he rides a bike. Why are we getting up in arms? The whole sport's dirty. They do it in France. This couldn't be less relevant to American lives unless they did it on the moon. But we got very mad because those Live Strong bracelets, you got us all with that. Because if you can't trust a $1 piece of rubber on your wrist, who can you trust? What is sacred in this world if you can't look at your wrist and go, oh yeah, Live Strong, I almost forgot. Which is why I sell Live Angry bracelets. That's sort of my motto. But I want to end on something happy. I used to be a lawyer before I disappointed my parents for a living. True story. I was a lawyer, and you know, having a black dad, a white mom, and a law degree. This is not a political bit, but I'm a big fan of the president. You know, he's basically me if I did good. Or like I'm the worst version of him possible. Because I see it when I watch speeches with my parents. They'll just kind of look at me and look at him and go, well, we knew it could work. But I had this recurring sort of nightmare when he was running for re-election, that he was not going to get re-elected. And I just kept having this thing where I was like, oh no, that means like, you know, in the half-black community, there's just going to be like a trickle-down effect. Like, as hot as my career is right now, it might not be quite as hot. You know, because you just bump everybody down a spot. And I had this recurring nightmare that, like, if he wasn't reelected, he'd have to get a terrible job. And naturally, the terrible job, because of his great speaking skills and the fact that he has daughters, the terrible job was strip club DJ. Because imagine, you're leaving church on a Sunday looking to blow off some steam, you head to the gentleman's club, maybe you bring the kids, take advantage of that buffet lunch. And instead of you know, the normal DJ on the mic, it's Barack just going, next, coming to the stage, is a young woman named Bubbles. Now look, Bubbles is a single mother of two. And she came to this city to become an actress. But those hopes were dashed when she began dating a Russian ecstasy dealer. Now, gentlemen, normally after a show, Bubbles would simply go out back, service a few dudes, just hoping to get a ride home. But tonight is a no night for Bubbles. Tonight she dances not to feed that crack addiction, but to empower herself sexually. So please, when she asks for money, reply with that time-honored creed, yes we can. You guys have been fantastic. Enjoy your headlines.